Money FM 89.3. Best of breakfast. Morning Shot.
Welcome to Morning Shot. The countdown to Budget 2025 has started, with just over a month to when Prime Minister and Finance Minister Lawrence Wong is set to deliver his budget speech for the year. Cost of living and job security in particular have been raised by PM Wong as concerns that come up frequently among residents during walkabouts. In the lead-up, public consultations have begun, circling four broad themes: economic strategies for the next bound, opportunities for skills upgrading and jobs for workers, support for Singaporeans across different life stages, as well as strengthening Singaporeans' sense of solidarity and unity as the country marks SG60. For more insights, we're joined by Annie Koh, Professor Emeritus of Finance from the Lee Kong Chian School of Business at Singapore Management University. Annie, good morning.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. Hope it's coming along smoothly so far. It's been a while since we emerged from the shadows of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, from an economic standpoint, Annie, what do you believe are the most pressing challenges in addressing issues like cost of living, job security, especially in what we're witnessing now is a turbulent global environment?
Very good question, Emaad. And I think because COVID was the big theme, 5 years ago, and it was very focused theme. I think emerging from it, we are actually, surrounded by too many uncertainties. And I think that's the big element. And not all of those elements can be controlled within a country, especially a small country like Singapore. So, if you look at the framework, it's actually a lot of political, economic, technological, environmental changes that is not directly in our destiny and ability to control. But we can still do things about it, because if we don't own the country and we don't own our destiny, then we are definitely not able to shape our own direction.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, the upcoming budget is expected to look at helping people to upskill and ensure better incomes, and that would go a long way towards being in control of your own destiny, as you just pointed out, on top of existing efforts such as the enhancements to Skills Future. So my question is, what's your assessment on current initiatives? And moving forward, how can the government ensure that these programs are effectively reaching workers across a broad spectrum of sectors, especially those who are lower income or more vulnerable groups?
Very nice. So I know we have done a lot in terms of skills futures, and I think many individuals are very appreciative because it gives them a different meaning in life and it gives them something to hope for. But I do think the time has arrived for us to be more targeted, more focused. And reskilling is different from upskilling. So I think when we think about reskilling, we're actually looking at the vulnerable groups in our economy. And we should not be thinking about just learning for learning's sake. It should be reskilling to try and retain people in jobs, change the job scope, look at reskilling to lead to jobs. So the providers for courses, the owners must be there for them to work with an ecosystem to ensure that sustainability of training for jobs purposes. Upskilling is when you are actually retooling people within current jobs and to prevent them from falling into the trap of having to lose their jobs. So the responsibility is not just with the training providers, but also with the companies. The companies must also come in, stepped up, and we need to give incentives to the governments. Maybe, job subsidies and, pay the workers while they are going for training. So I don't think we should have a one-size-fits-all in terms of the cost offerings. It should be targeted, it should be focused, and it should involve the ecosystem and not just training providers.
Yeah, indeed it should. And thanks for making that distinction between upskilling and reskilling. Now, through your work, Annie, you meet with a good number of business leaders and entrepreneurs. What are companies looking out for in this budget? What are their key concerns as they tackle the year ahead?
Again, a great question, Emaad. And I think there are big companies and there are small companies and there are middle-sized companies. And if you look at all the reports that's coming out from the SMF, the SPF, the Chinese chambers, actually companies are all aligned. They want sustainable training for their people, and they also want sustainable, missions for themselves. So it involves three different areas. Tech is great, but, tech costs a lot. And when you bring tech and talent together, it becomes a lot more purposeful and more meaningful. So it would be great if they could get some kind of grants to help them adopt the technology and at the same time help the people, the training that can come hand in hand with it. And I think Singapore is such a small market. If we start thinking only about selling in the domestic market, we will get nowhere. So internationalization is something that they are all hoping for. But not everyone can go across borders because there's cost of compliance, the cost of regulatory boundaries. Maybe the bigger companies can help the smaller ones. You know, when Chinese companies go overseas, they ride on each other's supply chain. So they pay royalties, but they don't have to build the whole supply chain from the beginning. So maybe our bigger companies who have really got very seasoned ways of operating in the country, is there ways in which they could share that technology, share the insight, share the expertise with the smaller companies that are going abroad to the same countries.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think it's a good point you make about bigger companies, perhaps even having a moral responsibility to ensure that the smaller ones gain a foothold as they try to venture out overseas. Now, here's a group that has often emerged in conversations. It's the sandwich generation, those juggling caregiving for elderly parents and also raising children at the same time. Based on what you've seen and heard, Annie, how have the aspirations of this demographic changed, or how are they changing?
So Singapore at 60 is what I would consider we are third generation. So definitely there is a sandwich generation. And it's challenging. I am grandmother of a 20-month-old boy, grandson, and I could see how my daughter and my son-in-law is struggling. And we are lucky because we are active aging. So my husband and I and our in-laws, we know how to look after ourselves. But there are also many families where they are really stretched, you know. And I think the government has done fantastic things for the aging. So we are seeing a lot of initiatives, Healthy 365, Gym Tonic, where old people go and take responsibility. So I think one word I'm going to use is build sustainability. And we have the opportunity now to reset our priorities and think about the future sandwich generation. But the current sandwich generation needs help. I think childcare, maybe the 4-day week doesn't apply to everybody, but for working moms, I think that would be a great help. And so, look at things again from a reset priorities, targeted approach, and not every family needs the same thing in their stage of life at that moment in time.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Now, 2025, Annie, is set to be marked by a budget that's expected to set the stage for a general election that's due by the 23rd of November, as well as the country's Diamond Jubilee, SG60. How do you see Budget 2025 playing a role in building the shared sense of purpose, and what measures are you hoping for that could foster greater social cohesion as the country moves into its next phase of development?
So we've done that, we have really started thinking about, our forward SG, and I think that is trying to shape the mindset. We need ownership. We need every individual saying this is my Singapore, our Singapore, and what can we do? So when I say reset priorities, I meant it not just for the government. I think every household, every individual has to ask the Singapore that we want to build for our next generation, for our grandchildren and the ones to come. So we have to build sustainable businesses, sustainable livelihoods, sustainable places. And the word sustainable doesn't mean environmentally friendly alone. It's what are we taking ownership for in terms of our own development and our family priorities. So I would rather the word be not about value creation, but about impact creation. What am I doing today that is purposeful, that is leading to the impact that is valued? And I think it's not all measured in dollar terms. So we need a reset that we want this Singapore for the future. And we need everyone to have that ownership mindset. We are a citizen with a purpose. And it's a small country. if we don't believe that this is our country, then I don't think we are going to get anywhere.
Yeah, well, 18th of February is a date that we're all keenly anticipating. It's the date that the 2025 budget statement will be delivered by Prime Minister and Minister for Finance Lawrence Wong. And thank you, Annie, for giving us a window into what we could expect on the day.
Thank you very much for all the great questions. Have a great day.
Have a great day too. We've been in conversation with Annie Ko, Professor Emeritus of Finance from the Lee Kong Chian School of Business at Singapore Management University. Stay ahead with Money FM 89.3.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.